What's going on, guys? It's Chris Killey from EO Staff coming back to you today to talk about the do's and don'ts of hiring an assistant or somebody that's remote. Now, let me caveat this because I do think that this can apply to any new employee or even existing employee in the business if you want to get them started in a new role. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so there are 4 things that you definitely should do whenever you are onboarding a new employee. The first thing is you want to clearly define the tasks that are going to be in their job. So many times we see this where somebody gets hired and they bring them on and then there's not a lot of direction given. For instance, if you bring on an executive assistant and you don't show them what your expectations are for your email or your calendar management or how they're going to structure your day for you, which they should be doing, that could be a problem in the long run because the expectations and the communication is not set there correctly. So you want to make sure that you clearly define your expectations and what they're supposed to be doing for you on a daily basis. The second is to set the standard of open communication. Okay, so a lot of the times we see this where somebody comes on and they're afraid to ask questions because they don't want to inconvenience the person that hired them, whether it's their manager, their direct supervisor, the CEO of the company, whatever. The open line isn't there. So you want to make sure that when you hire somebody, you set the standard that it's okay for them to come to you. Now, this doesn't mean that they can knock on your door or send you a Slack message 100 times during the day. Perhaps you set some boundaries there and set up a protocol for when you guys can review it daily or, bi-daily, something like that. But you want to make sure that those expectations and those boundaries are there, especially in the beginning, because communication is so vital to the success of anybody in the organization. The third thing that you can do is train and provide resources. Here's another thing. These people aren't mind readers. So we like to use the playbook method, where during training, if I'm going to show somebody how to do a task, I actually physically share my screen and record it with them and go through those steps, step by step. Now, if it's something that I don't know how to do, it's something that I'm either going to bring in somebody who does, maybe somebody else in the organization, or I'm going to give them the result that I'm looking for, have them go do the research, figure out the process, screen record it themselves, and come show it to me. So once the screen record is there, now here's the best part. You can have that employee actually create a document that outlines the step-by-step process, okay? Then the very last part of that is you want to make sure that there's a checklist for accountability down the road. It's really, really easy for somebody to say they did something and maybe they didn't do it the full way, and there's no accountability because the checklist wasn't there for them to sign off on every step of the way. And the fourth, and arguably the most important part, is that you want to set KPI metrics and make it clear that you will be checking in at regular intervals to make sure that the job is being done exactly the way that you hired them to do it. We see this a lot with our clients where they give a task and then they never come back and follow through with it. And then 2, 3, 4, 6 months down the road, they come back and they look at the body of work and it wasn't really what they were expecting. So if they only would have had a regular check-in, everybody could be on the same page and this entire situation could have been avoided. Okay, so we've talked about the do's. Let's look at the other side of the coin and talk about the don'ts. The first, and this is something that drives me crazy, is don't micromanage the employee. Nobody likes to be micromanaged. Nobody likes to feel somebody over their shoulder. Give them some space to breathe and some space to grow. You hired this person for a reason. Let's go ahead and see what they're made of. Don't micromanage them. But again, you can check in on a regular basis to make sure that it's being done properly and give feedback along the way. But there's a chance you could create a lot more pressure and undue stress by micromanaging. So you're gonna wanna stay away from that. The second thing is not to neglect the check-ins. Again, these are really, really important, guys. Just because they get the first and second step right, so it doesn't matter how well they're doing, you wanna make sure that you abide by that regularly scheduled cadence. Check in with them, make sure everybody's on the same page and keep it moving. The third is to ignore their suggestions. Again, you hired these people for a reason. It's usually because it's a skill set that you didn't have. In very few instances, I've seen a new person come on and not have an idea about how to improve the process. You don't necessarily have to follow it, but you should definitely not ignore them, hear them out, because who knows? They may teach you something that can make it more efficient. And the number 4 is don't overload them with tasks, okay? They're a new employee. They've got a lot of pressure. It's a new environment, usually new systems, new processes, new people to deal with. The last thing that you want to do is completely bombard them right off the bat and then have them get frustrated because the rest of their work is gonna suffer. So make sure during those regular check-ins that their bandwidth is also being monitored as well. And you can add or remove accordingly. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this. Please remember to either like or subscribe to the page. That's how we attract new people to it. That way we can share more information and change more lives. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Our information is down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.